Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm pretty sure this is going to be going up on both our channels, so welcome back to my channel. If this is for my channel
and my channel, Tower Dog Dan. Thank you for joining us.
So first off, I want to say that this is going to be a get to know me more for Tower Dog Dan. He's about to have his first fight in the big promotion that goes by Bare Knuckle FC, bkfc, May 11th at the Mohegan in Connecticut. How do you feel about that?
Super excited. The both of us have been working for so long. Me, myself, since the day that promotion, I saw the first BKFC one, and that's when I decided that I wanted to be a part of it. I didn't start training right away, but pretty much that was when I made up my mind that that's what I wanted to do.
So yeah, that's pretty exciting. And we will get to that, how everything transpired in a few minutes. But welcome and congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your channel.
Yeah, I want to say that I am so proud of you and you've worked so hard. And it's crazy, huh? We're here now.
Yeah, it is.
Super crazy. Feels like we were just talking about it and I was like, you're crazy, dude.
She thought I was a lunatic for this.
Yep. And now it's like, I'm over here thinking about what I'm about to wear to the walkout. Yeah. So it's pretty surreal. But I want to start off like breaking the ice with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. So first off, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Red. What's your favorite type of food?
Mexican food.
Mexican food. What about what's your favorite type of clothing brand?
None. My own.
Your own?
Because I like to make my own style. I don't really like any brand name anything. I like plain shirts that I put stuff on. I like to customize my own clothes.
Silver or gold?
Gold. Every time.
What about shoe brand? You got a favorite shoe brand?
Adidas.
Cool. Let's see what else. Favorite type of what's your dream car?
That's a hard question because it would depend on the situation and where I was driving it to.
I see.
I don't want to ever have like some super luxury car. I'll never be like a Rolls Royce guy, but I like fast stuff. So one dream car of mine is a 69 Camaro. That would be a dream car. 57 Chevy pickup truck, another dream car. And probably some type of supercar, a Lambo, or when we get that big bag, we're going to have something fast to go, let it out with. But I think all in all, probably the 57 Chevy pickup truck, make a custom bed like my grandpa used to make on his trucks and rock that truck. Make it super fast because they can be.
Yeah.
So probably that 57 Chevy pickup truck.
What about, where's your dream destination to go?
Australia, I'd say, as like my first vacation, but I just want to see all of the world, and that's why we're doing this. That's why I climb towers. That's why I fight, because both of them are things that get to let us travel and see the country. And now Bare Knuckle's going to take us around the world.
Last question. Who's your idol? Who do you look up to?
That's a hard question because there's not a lot of men in this world that you can look up to. The people that I used to look up to are no longer with us, but I still look up to them. Like my grandfather, that's who I look up to, and that's who I strive to be like. And I feel like there's no better person in the world that I could try to be like other than him. So I just wake up with that goal on mind every day, just to try to be a good man and a good person and try to be a jack of all trades.
And we will get into how your grandfather is a big role in your life.
Yeah.
But all right, thank you for answering all my rapid fire questions. But let's throw it back. So let's see, when were you born and where?
I was born in Fountain Valley, California, 1989. Old man, 34 years old, just turned 34 in October. Yeah, 1989 in Fountain Valley.
And how was your childhood growing up? We don't have to get that deep into it, but Were you with your mom and dad? Did you have siblings growing up?
So I was with my mom. I've never met my biological father. He's kind of just like a sperm donor. Mom raised me. Mom on drugs. My mom's best friend from high school, his name was Vince Ammo Day. And he just took me under his wing and called me son and was my father, even though him and my mom weren't a thing. Anyway, when I was around 8 years old, he came into the picture, came and got my mom's life together, saved our lives, helped her get her shit back together. And that's who my dad is. But unfortunately, when I was 13, he passed. And then it was just me and my mom. And a few years after that, she got with my stepdad, Adam, who's still with my mother right now. And him and my two little brothers, Travis and Tanner, moved in with us. And I also have a sister named Ashley. She's my half sister. We have different fathers. From my biological father's side, I believe I have like 5 or 6 brothers and sisters. And I'm sure once they see these videos, they're going to be wanting to get a hold of me because I've never met any of them.
Well, hopefully, because
there's a lot of Pettits out there.
Yeah,
for sure. He was a traveler.
So, growing up without your biological father, but I know you did have a father figure role, like as a boy. Was that kind of tough?
Yeah, and it was just tough in the situation that, like, you know, when you're in a world where it's like a drug-ridden society, and like just where I came from, I didn't have a choice but to grow up at a very, very young age. Like 3-4 years old, my mom's friends would joke and say, "Hey, Dan, how's the wife and kids?" Because I was my mom's little keeper, you know what I mean? And I like always had to make sure that she was safe, even though I was so young, which is kind of made me grow up real quick, real fast.
And when you met your father figure, did it take you a while to like grow a relationship with him, or did you guys automatically bond?
No, because I never met Vince. He was there when I was born. Like, he was always there. I never met him.
Oh, I see.
He was there.
Oh.
Like, even I think when Jerry was in the picture, like, Vince was right there because Vince was mom's best friend, and he was in the picture way before that fool was. Oh. But like, they were all friends in high school. Like, they all went to high school together. So they all knew each other, you know what I mean? So
then, did you do a lot of moving around, like, growing up, or did you stay in one place where you were born?
So, like, my first year or two, Orange County, California, like Costa Mesa, and then around 2 years old, we'd moved over the hill to Lake Elsinore, and that's when shit got bad. That's when my mom got on drugs and everything. My mom's a very good professional woman. She was an escrow officer for 20 years, but people get lost for a while. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened at this point in time. It was a 6 or 8 year stint from 2 to 8 or so. And then that's when Vince said, enough is enough. You're not going to be yanking this kid around from, you know, we were bouncing. We'd rent a house. She would make it nicer into her little fucking abode. And then we'd get kicked out because we couldn't afford it, or, you know what I mean? Like, that was one good thing that my mom was good at, was no matter where we were at or no matter how shitty the pad was, she would make it a home. Like, she would work her ass off to make it a home. Yard work, fucking, you know what I mean? So we didn't have much, but what we did have, she was proud of, and she worked hard for. And yeah, but we did do a lot of moving, a lot of couch surfing, a lot of sharing rooms with my mom, a lot of staying at grandma and grandpa's house because you know what I mean? Like, it was like that when I was younger. But that's what happens when your life's in shambles like that.
Would you say that your mom's your best friend, regardless?
Like, kind of by default, I guess. At this point in my life, I wouldn't say that. I would say that she's my mother now. She's who she needs to be now, like my actual mother. And I don't feel like that she's my best friend. But growing up, 100%, my mom was my best friend because we had each other, and that was pretty much it. And we always kind of felt outcasted by the rest of everybody else, just me and her, you know?
You grew up in a rough area. How was it like going to school for you?
Going to school, I was the class clown, so school was always bad. Like, it was always phone calls home, always trouble with other kids because I had a big mouth, and I sometimes would get myself into situations that I would have to get myself out of. And yeah, I was just seeking attention that I was so starving for, I think, at home, that I was searching for it at school in the wrong direction, driving the teachers crazy on purpose. And yeah, my mom talks about this still sometimes. I have like the longest rap sheet in Lake Elsinore Unified School District history. And that was before they had things in place where they would let kids like me, hyperactive kids, have an aide. Like, that's what she did for a living. Like, I would have had someone like her to help me get through school rather than just send me suspended for the same dumb little things, So I think, looking back, hindsight's always 2020, but I do believe that the school system absolutely failed me as a child,
So, did you complete school?
Yeah, I graduated. The only reason that I did, though, I got kicked out of school forever in the 10th grade. They wouldn't let me go back to any school. So I had to do adult school. And my dad, Vince, the one that passed away when I was 13, he left me $10,000 incentive to graduate high school, because even from the grave, he knew that if he wasn't there to make me do it, I wouldn't do it. So he set something in place to where I had to graduate by a certain age. I couldn't be 19. If I turned 19 and I hadn't graduated, I'm losing 10 grand. So there was no way I was going to let that happen. So my whole 18th year, I went to night school, and I'm proud to say I got my diploma. Thank you, Dad, because you're the only reason I did that.
It's funny how he knew that the only way he can get you to do that was
Money.
Incentives.
Yeah. Well, like him not being, if he was there, I would have graduated good. I probably would have went to college playing ball and all that, but he wasn't there to control me. So he knew that my mom couldn't. He knew that if he gave me enough of an incentive, I'm not dumb. He knew how smart I was.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I almost skipped over that. I want to talk about the sports that you did while you were in and out of school.
I mean, I was always on the teams. No matter how much trouble I got into at school, they made sure I was on the teams because I was a good athlete. Growing up, I was a baseball player, and I was a very, very, very good baseball player. And I did that more for my parents. I liked baseball because I was good at it. I didn't like baseball because I loved the sport. I liked it just because of how good I was and how my parents looked at me when I played. So my parents put thousands and thousands of dollars into my baseball career, and my dad thought that I would be pro, and he was right to think that, because had my dad not passed away, I wouldn't be a pro fighter right now. I would have been in the MLB when I was like in my 20s for sure, because he was going to make sure that he was putting all the money, all the coaching, all the time that he needed to make sure that I was the best kid on the team always. So
did you dabble into any other sports?
Yeah, I played a lot of stuff in high school. Every kid wants to play high school football. So I tried it out. I blew my knee out my freshman year. I was a running back. I got clipped hard, and I was like, I'm not going to ruin baseball. So I quit playing football after that one season. My 10th grade year, I also wrestled. I wrestled in high school. And then I moved high schools because this school called Lakeside opened up. I went to my freshman year at Temescal, and then I had to go to Lakeside because the kids that lived in my area had to. So we were a varsity team, but we were only 10th graders, right? And so I played baseball there, I wrestled there, and I did water polo also at Lakeside. Played water polo for a year. That was the hardest sport still that hardest team sport, because fighting's definitely harder, but hardest team sport ever, most grimy sport in the world is water polo. They're grimy, bro. It's a gnarly sport.
Now that you talked about your sports, and then you told me that you had to complete your high school diploma in adult school, what happens after that? You start working, or you were already working?
Yeah, I was already working. At the time that I got my diploma, I was living in New Mexico. I had moved out there to work. I was drilling wells for water, and I was living there, and I went to night school, got the diploma, and then I ended up, the company I was working for closed down. So I ended up going back to California, and that's when I just started, yeah, doing odd end construction stuff. I was always in like the dirt world, you know, operating heavy equipment, underground storm drain. I went into sheet metal for a couple of years. I've done a lot of trades I did a lot of trades in my 20s, and it built me up into like the ultimate tradesman. I can do everything now. Every trade that there is, I'm confident that I can handle the job. And like, that's what I mean by I try to be like my grandfather. He knew everything. That was the only person I've ever had in my life that I could call him with any problem, any task, anything, and he knew the answer. Like, for instance, one time I put my phone up to the car and I said, Grandpa, what's my car doing? And he's like, oh, I threw a bearing. We'll fix it tomorrow. And then that night my car blew up and he was pissed that I drove it. And like, yeah, it was a whole thing, but he knew what was wrong with it. You know what I mean? But that's what I mean. Like, I like to learn new things. I like to learn new trades. I want to know how to do everything. If I want to build my own house, I want to be able to build my own house. If I want to build my own hot rod, I want to be able to do that. And those are things that I've been doing since I was a child with him. So thank you, Grandpa, because you built me into a real fucking man, and they don't really exist in this day and age. So I'm proud to say that, like, I live like an old school motherfucker, and I always will.
So you said that you're a natural athlete. So when you were like after high school and then when you were working, were you still active? Were you still doing sports, or were
Yeah,
you?
so me and Travis, my little brother, we played adult baseball actually for a couple of seasons. And yeah, I was working and I had a problem. Like, I already had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was in my early 20s, I started dabbling with pain pills and shit, and I had a problem already. So my athletic shit went right out the door as soon as pretty much high school was done. Okay, so then I would get clean and I would train fighting. I liked fighting. I liked MMA at this point. I just had gotten out of high school and I was a high school wrestler, so I wanted to be a fighter. And a lot of my buddies fought and stuff, you know, like that's what I wanted to do, but drugs took that from me. It stole it from me.
Yeah, and that was like the opener that I was trying to land, and it landed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't want to get too deep into that portion because I know you want to do a more specific video on your channel, but when you're ready for that, obviously.
One day I'll talk about that.
But yeah, so you had a period in your life where you went through a struggle. How many years did it steal from you?
Probably like, I don't know, 7 or 8 solid years of life that it stole from me, you know? And it started like innocently. It started, I went to the doctor, I got hurt, and I got on pain pills. And then 1 pain pill led to 2 pain pills, and 2 led to 3. And then my buddies are taking them to have fun and like party with. And then before you know it, I go on a trip for work, and I'm in my early 20s, and I think like, yeah, 23 probably. I go on a trip for work, and I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm drenched in sweat, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what's wrong? I'm sick. I'm sick. What the fuck's going on? I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know that these drugs grabbed a hold of me and that I was sick. Like, I was withdrawing sick. I thought that I was just sick. And I called my mom, like, Mom, what's wrong with me? And she's like, well, have you taken any pills in the last couple of days? And I said, no. And she's like, oh, you're going through withdrawals. And I said, oh my God, I'm a drug addict. You know what I mean? And like, it just like clicked. Yeah, it was crazy because I didn't even realize it. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that it was something that could grab you like that could make you physically dependent. I thought it was just something that you would want like everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were like, oh, this doctor prescribed me this for this amount of days. Why would it
affect me poorly?
Yeah.
I thought that it would do what it, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know withdrawals I didn't even know it existed.
So it was pain pills, and then did it eventually turn into anything bigger than that?
Absolutely. I mean, pain pills at one point were $2, and then by the time I was done taking them, they were $10. So that you can't afford a habit where you're taking 30 or 40 of a pill a day and they're $30. You know what I mean? Like, that's $1,000 a day habit. And I swung that for a while. I don't know how. when you're in that world, you don't know how, but you do. Like you hustle it up, you go sell some, you do, you know what I'm saying? You like, I was always like a hustler. So I'd go get some from this person, go sell them to this person for twice as much and then keep half of them. And like, that's how I supported my habit. And then it came to a point where I burned so many bridges that my habit was the main thing that my focus was on. I didn't even live a life anymore. My life literally revolved around working. I would go to work to make sure that I could pay for my habit. And that's terrible. You know, I always kind of held a job. I've always had jobs. I always worked, but all of my money went to this one thing. And it was just so defeating.
So you weren't like a homeless drug addict. You were
No.
like a pretty well maintained drug addict, but you
Yeah,
were
like a
stuck in.
functioning drug addict. You know what I mean? Like everybody knew what I was doing, but they couldn't prove it. They couldn't say, "Oh, Danny's on drugs." Like I'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, I still have a job, I still have a car." You know what I mean? I'm handling my business. So who the fuck are you to tell me anything? Especially to my mother. You know what I mean? Because of what I did go through as a kid, I'm kind of like, who the fuck are you to tell me anything? I rode by you for 20 fucking years. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how I felt about it, which is completely ass backwards, by the way. Let me stop right there and say the way that I was thinking was ridiculous. Like, I would think, oh, I'm just hurting myself. I'm not hurting anybody else. Oh, no. I was affecting everybody. And it was terrible of me to do. So if you're on drugs or you have any type of problem with drugs, just know you're not the only person that you're hurting. You're hurting everybody that loves you. So stop it. Stop doing it. It ain't worth it. Get addicted to the gym. Get addicted to anything else but drugs. Seriously.
So after those 8 years that it stole from you, like when did you finally get clean? Like what year?
I overdosed on my mother's birthday, which is Christmas Eve. In her bathroom, I died. I don't remember. I don't keep track of the years. It's been hella years, a lot of years, and I stopped keeping track of the years because this is my life now. That is that has nothing to do with who I am at this point in my life, and I'm not going to count every day that I'm clean because I should have been clean the whole time. I'm not proud of being clean. It's what's expected of me, you know? I was doing what was wrong. I was doing the wrong thing. I'm not going to be proud of myself for doing the right thing. So I get it when people are like, "Oh, so proud of you, you're sober." It's like, I'm not. I'm just doing what the hell I'm supposed to do now. So that's the kind of way that I look at it now. I wasted my own life and I wasted a lot of other people's time in the process.
So then you get clean, and then is it an easy transition, like
Oh
being
no.
clean and then being like trying to be somebody successful?
No, it's so hard. And like it takes so long to finally get back to your normal self because you don't even know who you are when you get clean. You don't know I was on drugs for so long that I didn't know who I was. I was drugs. I wasn't Danny. You know what I mean? So it took me a while to figure out who I was again. It took years. Then it was not just an easy transition. And you've been a part of that transition. So you know, like it's taken
That's what I was
me
gonna say.
a lot of time to grow.
When do you feel like it's you started real, like when you like sat down and looked back and you're like, oh shoot,
I'd
like
say 3 years ago, probably from this point. Like I had been clean for a few years before that, but like 3 years ago was when I feel like I finally got back to my real self, more of myself than I was even before I was on drugs, to be honest. Like I found myself and it took me a long time. I did a lot of searching to find myself, but once I did, I just knew that this was who I had to be. I had to transform and transcend into somebody else, or I was never going to be who I was put on this earth to be. And that's somebody special. I know that. I've been being told that since I was a kid. Like, yo, you have a big purpose on this earth. And I was wasting so much time not looking for it. I like the company I work for, the guys that I work with, and I'm just trying to grow, you know. But, you know, plan is to take this fight career as far as I can, and this is the first step to our own financial independence. And like you asked what it would feel like for when I made it, I'll feel like I made it when I don't get my paycheck from somebody else. When my paycheck is created and fully generated by me and it's my name on it and it's my company on it and it's my brand, it's my everything, I won't be satisfied until that's my reality. So that's the end goal, is to work for myself. You already work for me. I want us to have our own business, that we make enough money to where we can both do this for a living.
So I know that you dabbled into wrestling and you dabbled into MMA.
Mm-hmm.
So then you recently, about 3 years ago, were like, I guess I'll try bare knuckle.
Yeah, because I already fought in it. It was like 5 years ago that I saw the sport. And I was like, that's tailor made for me. Like, that's out of all the sports in the world, there's a little bit of wrestling. I don't have to wear the goofy gloves that I feel so uncomfortable in. I can grab people and I can fuck them up. I've already been doing that forever. Like, that's nothing new. So as soon as I saw these fights, I'm like, dog, that looks like my backyard right there. I'm down. And I just kind of fell in love with it. The grit that it takes, the balls it takes to have a guy get into a ring and he knows there's another guy over there that's going to be trying to take his head out, is just, there's nothing like that. And it's not boxing, it's not MMA. There's nothing in the way from his knuckles breaking your face, which I learned very quickly in my debut.
So does that mean that you've experienced that before? Because I've never experienced a bare fist to my face, and you don't catch me trying to bare knuckle fight.
Well, I have. So that's the thing.
So have you been in a fight before, like outside of the ring? Like, have you?
Yeah.
Like, you obviously had to have been in some type of fight before that you were like, I'm down with, I can do that.
Yeah, my whole life was full of fist fights. Like,
Yeah.
that was just part of life of where I grew up. Is, you got a problem, you meet up right after school in the ditch and you handle the problem. Like, that's just how it was. And so I was already comfortable with fighting, and getting punched in the face is kind of, I don't know, it gets my fucking motor going a little bit.
Do you have like a crazy fight story that you want to share with us? Like the craziest fight story you have?
I'll tell you about the one time I ever lost a fight, because I've only lost one fight in my two now, because I lost my pro debut, and that was against a sniper. That dude hit me in my eye. I took his punches, you guys, and I was like, oh, he's not hitting that hard. Well, he was setting me up, because after I came forward, he sniped my eye and he did hit me hard and he cut my eye and I couldn't see. I lost the fight. I threw the fight away. But growing up, I'm walking down the hallway and these guys were jumping people for a while and they were my enemies. And I was in 7th grade. They were in 8th grade. These guys were like my mortal enemies. I'm not going to say any names, not going to say nothing like that. But I'm walking down the hallway and I see them and I'm like, all right, this is going to happen.
Oh, is this the one where you were walking with your girl though?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got to tell the full story.
Yeah, so I say, all right, you go. Like, go. I'm about to get my ass kicked. I already knew they were going to try to fight me. So I keep walking and they said, mosh pit. And they just start jumping me. And they beat my ass, bro. When I say they beat my ass, somebody hit me in the back of the head. I blacked and I just balled up into a ball like this. And they just had a kicking party. They fucking had a boot party on me and they stomped me out. Broke all this side of my ribs. And it was a big old thing. But that was the one and only time that I like really got my ass beat by somebody. And it was 3 people. So, but my pro debut, he beat me too. So in a street fight though, no.
Pro debut, that means that you've already had a bare knuckle fight.
I guess if you want to call it that, it's not the same rules as the BKFC. It was a bare knuckle boxing match. The BKFC's bare knuckle fighting. And I want to be very clear about this. Bare knuckle fighting is not boxing. We're allowed to clinch, which means I'm allowed to grab his head and hit him. Okay. As long as one of your hands is busy, you can be holding their head down with the other hand. So there's a lot of stand-up wrestling involved in BKFC. I fought for a promotion called Valor. And Valor's rules are you cannot clinch at all. You cannot touch the person. And they also have 0 ropes. There's no ropes around this ring. It is a circle on the ground. Okay. And they told us before our fight, if you hit somebody and they are outside of that line, you are going to be disqualified. You're going to lose a point or we might suspend you.
So I took that line very seriously, as it was a line to not cross. The first thing my opponent did was cross that line. That immediately got into my head. I didn't want to hit him, and it was a bullshit promotion. I see it as my amateur experience. That was the lesson that I needed to learn to know just how dumb that was in the beginning.
So why'd you fight for Valor first instead of just going straight to BKFC?
So it took forever to get my licensing, and we had finally got it. My buddy Wolf hit me up and he's like, yo, Valor will give you a fight, dog. Let's just go to this fucking tryout, bro. We'll kill it. And then we'll both be on fucking Valor's card. And I'm like, dog, sign me up. We'll go. So we get in the car. We go to Buffalo. I knock some kid out at the tryout. So they give me a fight. And I had been trying to get a fight with the BKFC already. And they were just, it was always something.
Did you had already tried out for BKFC?
Yeah, and I had already tried out for the BKFC, but it took forever to get my license. So it wasn't their fault. It wasn't our fault. The timing, it just happened so much that I got onto that Valor card first. And the reason that we chose to do that was for that reason exactly, because we wanted to learn how this shit kind of works. We wanted to do it for a smaller promotion and get some experience before I came to the BKFC, because once I get to the BKFC, there is no fuck ups. There is no mistakes. Like, I'm going to the top of this shit. Like, this is everything that me and her have worked for the last number of years, and I cannot let this slip through. So Valor was a good experience for both of us, for you, for me. She had never cornered a fighter in her life. She didn't even know what that was before this. So she needed to learn just as much as I did, and I think we both did. We learned what to do and what else. What not to do, right? Really what not to do.
Yeah, so now that you've already had your first fight and it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, coming into this fight, is there anything you're doing different?
Yeah, like all of my game plan. You know, in that first fight, I had this ignorant mindset that I could go in there and land a big shot and just knock him out. That's not how this game works. You need to pick these fuckers apart. And I want to show my skill. Like, I didn't show any skill in my first fight. I went out there just trying to knock his head off. And this fight, this camp, that lesson that I learned was the best thing that ever happened to my fight career, honestly. I'm not sad about that loss because it taught me a valuable lesson that I desperately needed. Like, there's one thing about me, and that's that I've always been a hard learner. I have to learn the hard way. But once I do learn that hard way, I never make that mistake again. So those mistakes that were all made in our first event, that it won't happen anymore. And I can confidently say that because that's how it's always been in my life. I'm a hard learner.
And where are you training at right now? Where's your camp being held at?
Here at the Airbnb, we have a gym and Camp Get Right, where I'm going to get right. Like, it's in the name. And that's another mistake I made my last camp. I was at a gym that was only open 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday. I didn't get anywhere near enough work in for my camp. And I got like zero barely sparring in. And just, we didn't prepare for that fight. Not good enough. You know what I mean?
And other than me, who else is going to be in our corner?
Our boy Daniel. Coach Daniel.
And then
from Camp Get Right, the best coach ever. He's such a gentleman, such a sweet soul, but he's a hard, not aggressive, but very stern person that I respect more than most men in the world right now. So I show him that, and he's a great coach. I can't wait to see how far we go with him because he's a great addition to our team.
So just a few days ago, you found out who your opponent is going to be. How are you feeling? You're feeling good?
I feel good. I feel like it's a great first opponent for me. And I feel like he's going to think that I'm a great first opponent for him because of my first loss. But I think that this fight is going to go one way. There's only one way that this fight can go. I got to smash this kid. It's either his career takes off or mine, and there's no way in hell I'm letting this kid come in and take what I've worked for. It's like him coming into my pad and getting into my safe. I won't let that happen. Like, buddy, I'm telling you right now, you're going to have to literally kill me. It's not going to happen. I'm going to win this fight.
So May 11th, Mohegan Sun, first
Absolutely.
bkfc held in Connecticut, and you are going to be a part of that. How do you feel about that? Are you freaking proud of yourself?
I'm so blessed to be a part of that. Like, I'm one of the only guys in the BKFC that's going to get in here that has only done that. Everybody else went the boxing route first. They went MMA route first. I grinded my ass off to only do bare knuckle fights to get here. And that's why I'm going to make it a point to make a good fucking showing here, because I'm going to be one of the only people that's strictly bare knuckle. Like, I came into this game as a bare knuckle fighter, and I'm going to die going out of it as a bare knuckle fighter. And I made her one promise, and that was that one day, both of our names will be in that Bare Knuckle Hall of Fame one way or another. And I don't let down my promises to my girl. Like, she could tell you, I fulfill every promise I make. So it's going to happen.
And that's 100.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that everything goes the way that you plan. May 11th, what are your plans after that?
To get a fight immediately after. I need 3 fights by the end of this year. I have waited long enough and put enough work in and waited enough time to get to where I'm at. Now I need to get on the fast track and start this career off right. That's why it's so important that I just come in and smash this kid. Don't get hurt. Don't take any unnecessary damage, because I need to be ready to fight again in a month later. I want to be ready to fight for their next card if they need me to fill in. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to get ready, because I'm going to stay ready for the next few years, and I'm just going to fight as many times as they'll possibly bless me with in the ring. That's what I'm going to do.
Do you already have plans with your check, with your bonus check, if you get one?
Well, to pay all of the people that are involved, and no, just to, I'm going to take her on a little vacation afterwards because of how much work we've put in. But no, we're going to keep on grinding, keep on investing into ourselves, use it to invest into ourselves even more, and keep on moving up this fucking ladder.
All right. So what's your message to the BKFC as we start closing this up?
My message to Dave Feldman and the BKFC is thank you. Like, really, thank you so much for making a sport for guys like me that don't want to be MMA fighters, that don't want to be boxers. Thank you for giving us a home to call home. And I'm not going to let you down. Everybody's going to know who my name is in that world after this fight. I can promise you that. I'm going to do something that's spectacular. And you guys stay tuned, because everything that I've been working for the last 5 years of my life is now coming to a head, and I will not let that pass me by. There is no way I'm going to let that pass me by. So I look forward to a long career in the BKFC, putting on great fights for you guys, and I will always go to war. If there's one thing that you have my word about, win or lose, I'm going in there to fucking scrap. Every time I'm going forward, every time I'm coming at you, and every time I'm going to cut you the fuck up if I get my hands on you. So fighters, beware. 145 division, I'm coming for all of you guys. I know there's levels to this shit, and I'm going to climb that ladder so fucking fast that you guys are going to be shaking in your little boxing boots. I'm coming. I'm not playing with this. Dave Feldman, Nate Shook, Chris, Big Boy, Nelson, all the people at the BKFC, Chris Lytle, thank you all so much for this opportunity, and I will not let one of you guys down. Every one of you guys will be proud that you brought me into this organization, and you have my word on that.
What about to your fans? Because we've recently have grown on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
All of my fans.
What, not like your fans, your followers, to
all my fans, to all the newest people that have joined us lately. Like, I feel so blessed that you guys even give a shit to watch what we're doing. And I know that we grind. I know that it's like an interesting life that we're living, but like, I really feel honored to be able to show you guys that no matter where you come from, no matter what you were, that doesn't mean that you have to be that way tomorrow. And you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you can literally, if you have a dream, you can get it. And I'm definitely a testimony to that. I look forward to growing. I look forward to you guys seeing my growth and me grow in this sport. And just thank you for being a part of this. I'll never forget it. Like, my fans really do mean something to me, and you guys will always know that. Trust me. You will always know that, and I'll never forget that. For sure.
So what weight class are we fighting at?
145. Coming for all the smoke, baby.
And then, so May 11th is the
May
day.
11th, Mohegan Sun, Saturday night. Gonna be fucking lit. First ever bare knuckle event in Connecticut, in New England at all. You guys gotta be there, dude. And if you are going, make sure you click the link below to get the tickets from your boy, because they want me selling tickets, and I'm gonna sell tickets because I got fans. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for following us along on this journey. Thank you for interviewing me. I love you.
Where can they find us at?
And you can find me on every platform at Tower Dog Dan. The Tower Dog is out.